Hi, Joe Cerrone.
Al Rosen.
Welcome to CAD 134, our weekly Zoom meeting. This week, we're going to cover Module 9, the Furniture Installation Plan. Module 9 goes through Chapter 9 of the textbook. And in sticking with our color coding, Al has gone through and color coded the CAD work in green. So we have two drawing files. One of them is this XX Lab 9A. And we give you that because there's too much detail work in the book, and we really want to just concentrate on the skills with the smaller class. And so as we look at what we want to do here, we want to be able to create blocks in a furniture plan. And so students will download this file and open it. And so if I do that, what we've given you is the floor plan of the drawing with the dimensions on it. And we trimmed off all the other things that you don't need at this time. I thought I got rid of the kitchen elevation, but apparently I see it on the student file. And it seems my AutoCAD is a little glitchy today. It seems to be slow, so it'll come back in a minute. There we go. It starts going out and looking for attributes. So what we did, and it did, so we have right now the student file Lab 9, and we've given you one of the furniture blocks completed. And then we've set the layout tabs for you so that you can insert this block here. And we will go through the attributes next week, right, Al?
Right, W block attributes will be like next week. Today we'll be on just how to draw it, how to put it together, and how to make a block that is associated with the drawing that's currently you see in the screen.
So it's a pretty light week. It's not going to be, a ton of work, but you will get some really good knowledge, because the plan is, if I look at the master file, let's see where I have that. No, that's not the one. Let's see. Yeah, it is. There it is. So in the floor plan, we need to open it. There we go. So in the master plan, and it's a little bit slow because it goes out and looks for the attributes. I have to wait for it to signal me that it can't find it. There it goes. All right. So we just want to have the furniture plan. And so here's the completed file. And what the students are going to do is they're going to create the blocks in model space. And then we'll put those blocks into the furniture plan. And so here's the secretarial desk. It's called reception desk. And it's got the attributes for, I'm not sure what the LK is, but it's got the size of the drawing, and it's got the surface finish. If we click on one of them and we look at the quick properties, it'll tell us the finish, the size, and I guess that's the part number, product number. So they're very useful to use. We have had a number of updates to the Skokie campus where we get these big floor plans where all the classrooms are going to go, and the furniture plans. To be really efficient, you create them with blocks. And if we look at model space, what we're going to do as students is to create blocks of all the furniture. And so in the student file, we've given you this one already. And then we'll go through and we'll create these other ones. So for example, if I go and switch over to the file that I just gave to the students, we'll take a look at the curriculum here. And the curriculum is located.
Whoops.
It's always something right here with this module 9, chapter 9. And here's the furniture dimensions as well. So I've already downloaded this one with the furniture dimensions, and I'll make this a little bit bigger. It's straight from the book. I know you guys bought the book, and so it's right there. And so when we work with blocks and we start to go through the textbook for it, what we want to do is to create these blocks on layer 0. And so we'll go back here to model space, or go back here to our drawing. We'll go to our home tab. And we'll go to our layer 0. And then we'll just draw these blocks up. And so the second one is to draw an ellipse that's going to be 6 feet by 3 feet 6. And usually what I'll do is I'll draw a line that's going to be 6 feet long. And then I'll draw another line from the midpoint. Now, if I don't get midpoint, I'm going to go through and enable it. I'm going to turn on my O snaps. And this is just detailed drawing stuff. And so I'll come from here and I'll go (42 divided by 2 equals 21, 21. And then I'll draw an ellipse. Like that. And then what we'll do is put the dimensions on. And the dimensions are also, if I look at that, if I look at a quick properties of it, they're also on layer 0. If I click on that and I look at my layers, it would tell me that it's on a different layer. So we just put the dimensions on that. It's going to be 6 feet. I'm going to make this layer current. Yes, it is current. I'm going to go into my linear dimension, and I'm going to dimension from here to here. I'll place that dimension right there. And then I'll place the vertical dimension from here to here, and I'll place it right there. Erase this information here, delete. And then I'll make this into a block. And so we'll click on the insert. We'll say create block, create block. And we'll give it the part name. The part name is going to be table desk. The base point we're going to specify on the screen, which will be in the center of the table. And then we'll also specify the objects. And so we'll specify by selecting the objects. And so we say select objects. We're just going to take this without the dimensions. We're going to hit enter. And we're going to say base point. We're going to say pick point. Right there in the center. It'll give us a little glyph. We can write the description on it, table desk. And we hit OK. And that's it. When we go into model space and we start doing the drawings themselves, we can put that table desk into the room. And I have to find the page with the table desk. Appears that the president gets one and office number 3 gets one. So if I'm in the president's office, you have to be in the viewport. You can either do this in model space or you can do it in the viewport. As you start to work more with AutoCAD and you start to see how layouts work, I started working in the viewports. And so I'll come in here and I'll insert the block. And you can see some of the blocks are now populating. So I can say table desk, and then I can just bring that in and drop that in. Now, next week, we're going to go through and add the attributes for that. Now, one mistake that I made was that I inserted on layer 0 instead of on this layer. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to hit escape, take this out. And then if I look at this layer is layer I furniture. So we're going to make the layer I furniture active when we insert the blocks. And then when I insert the block, when you create blocks on layer 0, they take on the color and the line type of the layer that they're inserted on. So it's very important to create the blocks on layer 0 for that purpose in this exercise. There's some companies that may have some different policies on standards, but for our purposes, by creating the furniture on layer 0, when we insert it on the iFurniture layer, it will be purple and whatever the other attributes are with the line types. So when we insert it now, it'll be purple. Now, the other thing that we'll do, and we'll talk about this next week, is to add the attributes. And so if we look at how it works with a different part, because we don't want to go too far, you can just use the one that we currently have. Attributes are tied to blocks. And what an attribute does is it allows you to put things like description, manufacturer, product size, and you can make these invisible too, so that the person who manages the floor plan, we have facilities people that will use these for computers. They use it for furniture. You don't have to display it. And so what it does is it allows you to add database information to it, like description, manufacturer, supplier. So if I wanted to put a desk into one of the rooms, I would come back here to my furniture plan. And then we already have one in the reception room. Let's just say we're going to have 2 receptionists. And so if I wanted to insert that block with the attributes, what you'll notice is that it comes in with the information, then it verifies that. And so enter the finish. This will be oiled walnut. The size is given and the product number is given. If we say, no, these are going to be, these are not going to be walnut, these are going to be cherry. You can go and you can change it. And we can say, okay, I might have spelled that wrong. But you'll see that information is now carried through. And so it's a very useful tool to keep track when you get bigger enterprises like we do. We have all the rooms to manage the furniture in the classrooms. So that's the lesson that we're working on, is to be able to do that. And then next week, we'll also go into how to be able to extract the furniture totals. And so when we look at the plan for next week in our master plan, and it's a little glitchy today, I apologize. You will draw all of these parts and put the dimensions on them. And then next week, we'll explain how to add the attributes so that we can then go through and generate the furniture totals. And so it's a great tool because you can just put desks all over the place and then AutoCAD counts them for you. And it's not an easy assignment. It takes a while to kind of do the detailing. So this week, we're not going to make it super complicated. We're just going to go through and talk a little bit more about blocks. So is that a pretty good recap, Al, of where we're going with this? We're basically going to be working on creating the furniture plan. It's going to look like this.
When we're finished with it.
Pardon me?
We're finished with it.
Right. And then in model space, you're to create these different furniture symbols on the different layers. And then we'll go through blocks and attributes next week. And so for this week, here I just drew this one right here. If I were to draw another piece of furniture, I would just draw this 6x3 foot. I would name it desk. And then as far as the attributes go, we thought it was best to just go through and talk about the blocks.
And you can tell right next to it, just to the right of the values, it has the notes, it has visibles and et cetera on it. So if something is changed or non-visible, wherever else, it automatically will tell you what it is now.
So as we look into it, you know, the things about blocks that we can talk about. So for example, if we were to kind of just go through and just say, okay, well, how's this going to work? If I came back here to this drawing and I wanted to insert these blocks on a different layer. So for example, if I come back here to home and I go to a layer like, let's say dashed, because it probably has a dashed line type. It does. And so if I go through and I insert them, and you can insert them into paper space or model space, it doesn't matter. The thing about working in layouts is you have the ability to filter your layers with viewport layering. So when we insert this, and if I insert my block, and this one has all of them in there. So I'm looking for the desk. So whoop, there it is right there. When I insert it, since it was created on layer 0, it's going to come in with the attributes here that were created for it. And it's going to come in on the layer in the line type with that information. And so when we create the layers, we create them on layer 0. When they're inserted, they will take on the line properties, provided that it was created on layer 0. If we created it on a different layer, like the layer that's showing here, then every time we inserted it, it would bring in that layer information. And so it can be a bit of a management problem. Like you'll often see you have redundant layers or layers that are almost the same name. We used to name layer dimension DIM, and then we'd name it dimension DIMENSION. Well, those are redundant layers, and so CAD would get confused by that. So when we go into creating these different layers for the blocks, when we insert them on a different layer, it brings in those layers if it was not created on layer 0. Does that make sense, Al?
Yep.
All right. So that's the plan for this week. If we look at our quick review is relatively straightforward. And I think what we want to do is to detail all of these parts. Now you're welcome to go through and do the attribute work if you'd like to. We just felt that there's quite a bit of detailing work and things are kind of picking up out there as we start to look at the calendar. And Al has gone through and started to put this together. We really feel that this project here is going to kind of hit the notes that we need to hit for creating a furniture plan. So for today, we're going to do the blocks, and then next week we'll do the attributes, and that'll give us enough time to have some questions raised and to detail that. And then the following week is a holiday week. So we weren't planning on having any meetings that day. And then we thought we can kind of revisit this the week after to see if we have more work, if we don't finish it next week. And then we can look at just some basic modeling, chapter 14, and then we kind of wrap things up. Does that sound right, Al?
That's absolutely correct. And ladies, if you think of anything else or want anything else, write them down and then submit them to us, or write them down and so you have them for next week. However you want to do it, or a combination of both, that'd be great.
So that's our quick review. I'm going to stop the recording here. If there's anything else that I need to add, Al, let me know.
I don't think so at this present.
Okay, so I'm going to end this recording so we don't just keep talking, and then we'll open it up and talk about this, about any questions.
Great.